Actually, I'll tag you on. I'll point my camera and tag you on Instagram as well. On Instagram, you're New Age Hipster. Yeah.
Yeah, New Age Hipster 333.
Okay. I got confused the other day. I was doing a promotion, and then you guys had I had you New Age Hipster. I had Multi-Dimensional Mother. I had some other like cool, and I had Urban Empath. And I was like, wait, which was which? And I think I promoted you guys backwards. I like the testing of my brain to see if I can remember all of these things.
I'm loving those acknowledgements. I need to check those out.
Yeah, there's some awesome humans on this earth with and if you're creative enough to have your own Instagram handle where you can get it, I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, let's do it. Hello, Facebook and excited to vibe with her today. Just unplug my headphones so that you guys can hear on the stream. So I'm giving you guys access to this as well live. All right, let's do it. All right, hello everybody. Welcome to another episode of Enlightened Conversations. Really excited for today and introducing you guys to an awesome guest, or maybe reintroducing you guys. We have Vixs, who is out in Kent, United Kingdom. I think I said the city right. And just excited to talk with her today. Came across her Instagram page not too long ago and saw the love and light she was sharing with her audience, and best-selling author and just awesome human. And she goes by the New Age Hipster. Don't forget the 333 on Instagram. We'll give you all her links. But just excited to vibe with her this morning for me, evening for her, and just share some love and light with you all. So without further ado for me, I want to introduce you guys to Vixs, and if you could share with the audience so they're more familiar with you, who you are, what you do, why you do it, all these good things.
Yeah. Well, hi everyone, and thanks so much for having me on this video, on this conversation. I'm really honored to be here. I love when someone pops up out of nowhere and they're like, "Hey, let's connect." It's like I love the world that we live in for all of that stuff. It's amazing. So who am I? What do I do? Okay, I always struggle to answer this question because I feel like there's so many answers to it. But in a nutshell, I run a spiritual business called New Age Hipster, which I started about 5-6 years ago. And part of that business is, well, the business kind of started with me doing tarot readings for people and kind of working one-on-one with people in that way. And over the years, it's kind of expanded to the point where I'm now teaching spiritual development classes. And I also run a business mastermind now to help other people who want to run their spiritual businesses. I have my first spiritual book coming out later this year, which is really exciting. And I've also written 2 fiction books, which I self-published, and one of which was a bestseller on Amazon, which was really exciting. So yeah, I do like all this spiritual stuff, and I also write stories and, like everything that kind of comes under that umbrella.
I love it. And I too love the synchronicities of life, where someone that we didn't know existed 5 seconds ago, all of a sudden is like, oh, who's this person? And
now we're chatting.
Online makes it easier for that, and then obviously it can happen in the real world as well. Your fiction book it's a romance novel. Am I right on that?
Yeah, so the 2 books that I've written are part of a series, and there is going to be a 3rd book, which I'm kind of working on when I have time at the moment. The premise is basically that it is young adult romance. It's time travel. So it's about this girl who lives in present day, and she goes back to the 80s and falls in love.
Super interesting. I love it. 80s were a very interesting time.
Yeah. Yeah, I love the 80s.
I remember I'm from California, where MC Hammer got really big in the 80s, and so we were all wearing which were so comfortable, but not so fashionable. We're all wearing his pants, which were like big, like parachute pants. Actually, would love to have some of those as like to wear around the house right now.
Yeah, they'd be great for like isolation fashion.
I love it. Well, awesome. Well, I'm always curious with everybody that I speak to because I think it's fascinating for the audience as well. Just knowing that all of us started off here as like little unconditional loving little babies and bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, and not a worry in the world. We're comparing ourselves to other babies or anything like that. And then for a lot of us, we forget who we are and maybe start asking ourselves, are we enough? Comparing ourselves and it's my hope for everyone that the light bulb can come on when it's ready. But whenever it does, I'm super happy for that human being so that we can go live and know who we are and all these things. Your journey, did it go from unconditional loving little baby to the beautiful human we see here today? No forgetting, just straight evolution, or was there a different journey for you?
Yeah, it was definitely a journey. Yeah, definitely a journey. One that I'm still very much on, for sure. But yeah, I had a really interesting kind of experience getting into spirituality. I kind of always felt like there was more to life than what we could see. I always kind of felt like there was some thing that I could connect to, and whether you want to call it God or spirit or whatever you want to call it, I always kind of felt like there was something out there. And I kind of went on this journey where in my teen years, I got really into Wicca and witchcraft and kind of went down that path for a little while. It was in the 90s and, like the craft had just come out and witchcraft was very cool. And I was like, oh, this could be my thing. This really resonates. And then it kind of fell away a little bit. And then a few years later, I joined the church for a few years. So I became a born again Christian when I was like in my late teens and kind of had that experience. And then, many years later, I'm like here and I'm doing the spiritual thing, but it has been a really interesting journey to get to this point, and definitely not a like, oh, I'm awake and everything's cool and I know exactly who I am and what I'm supposed to be doing. It was, a lot of journeying, a lot of looking into different spiritual paths, a lot of work on myself, as I'm sure everyone who's watching this can probably relate to. But lots of lessons and blessings on the way.
I love it. It's a never-ending journey for us all, and that's why I always love to ask that, because a lot of times, like, I'll bring on you awesome guests, and you guys will be speaking about, so many empowering things, and it's so easy for us as human beings. I think it's the biggest illusion for us to view ourselves as separate and to think, oh, that person's like they're better than me. They have all this going on and all these things, when really they're just a different expression of you and are flowing the same non-physical energy that some may want to call God, universe, love, all that is, source, spirit, infinite intelligence, whatever you relate to out there. And that's why I love hearing the journeys and knowing that life is just a continuous journey, in this lifetime, and will always be evolving and having new life experience and becoming more aware and all of these things. So I love that. Like, so for you, I'm sure you've probably loved writing books and being a writer or not writing books. You probably didn't start writing books. You probably wrote other things before you wrote a book. But I'm sure you've loved writing for a while. And how did it for you go to wanting to actually help people and share the things that you become aware of? And because I think as humans, we always innately, I feel like we like to share things that help us with the people that are close with us. And then some others, it sounds like what you've been doing is deciding to help even more people and seeing how you can impact people on an even bigger scale. How did that journey look for you?
Yeah, I don't think that it was ever something that I intentionally set out to do. I never really thought, I'm going to start a spiritual business and serve all of these people and help everyone to become more spiritual and more connected. It was sort of like a gradual unfolding, and every time I got the nudge to take one step forward, then I would get another nudge to take another step. So For me, my business really started as a blog that I felt guided to write and share with anyone who found it, like anyone who happened to find my blog. And it was really just supposed to be about me sharing my own spiritual journey and my own experiences. I used to blog about like my own thoughts on the tarot, which were often quite different to what when you Google like a tarot card and you get all of this information about it, and some of my ideas were like, not really sure that I vibe with that. So I started kind of blogging about my own thoughts and ideas about those kinds of things, and people started to really resonate with my blog. And then I kind of went from there to thinking, okay, maybe I'll do a couple of readings for people and see if that's a thing that I can do. So yeah, it was kind of just like one step at a time. And then I did start doing readings. I did like many free readings to start with, just to kind of practice and see if I was any good at it. And then it got the nudge to put some readings up on my website and my Etsy store. And it just kind of went from there. Once I started doing readings, it's like, well, maybe I could teach a course in how to, connect with your intuition for other people. So it was never really something that it kind of, because many people have like the download of, I need to start a spiritual business and I need to do this and I need to write this book. For me, it was more like an unfolding of like, I felt the need to, like you said, I felt the need to kind of share what I was experiencing and what I was learning, I guess with the intention that maybe this is going to be useful for somebody else. And that was kind of how it all started. And so while I was starting that blog, I was working as a teacher full-time. I worked in high schools and primary schools and special needs schools. I was doing that for many years. So I think that part of what I've brought to my business as well is like the teaching kind of aspect of that, where it's like, well, I want to share and I want to support people in that way. Did that even answer your question?
It did, 100%. And it highlighted something so important. Because a lot of times, like, and we don't realize this until, like, time passes. But you just highlighted how we'll be doing things, maybe 5 years ago and not even think that it's like, we're just doing it. And then we realize, like, 5 years later that, wow, I'm actually using these things as a part of what I'm doing now. And there's just things evolving behind the scenes, like on our journeys, that we can never predict. And you just right now, it's why I always encourage people to just be present where they are. My greatest weakness at one time, Vix, was focusing so much on the future. Like, I'll be happy when. And it caused a lot of like unhappy times in those present moments. And if I would have realized what I'm sharing right now, that those things that I was doing, I've needed every single one of those life experiences for what I'm doing today, and I'm sure what I'll be doing tomorrow. I'll be using the experiences of today. It just kind of, once we understand that, it's just they can give us more of a peace to be able to be present in this moment, and maybe still be excited for whatever it is we want to see evolve in our life. Nothing wrong with that. And at the same time, this doesn't have to be like a miserable moment, because these things are going to be useful. Like, we'll use them, later. I see that with so many areas of my life now. So that's beautiful how you highlighted that. So with you now, because I'm curious, now you're writing books and you're teaching and you're doing all these things, and we're at an interesting time in human history. At the time of this recording, we're right at the tail end of, I feel like every time I'm doing these, I say we're at the tail end of some month. The months just keep going. It's never like the beginning of or middle of the month. It's always the end. But interesting time in human history. How's things for you out there in Europe, and what are you excited about, whether personally or for humanity, where you see things evolving? What's your perspective on everything right now?
Oh, such a good question. I've been really just trying to take one day at a time at the moment, because it feels like everybody's got an idea of why this is happening or how it's all going to play out. And as much as I think it can be really useful and valuable to have those conversations and to think about those things, I kind of just feel like at this stage, we don't really know what's going to happen. So I've kind of been really trying to just like stay in my power by just being here today, being like, okay, what do I need to do today? Like, how do I need to, how can I get through this day, and how can I bring as much love and light to my community, to myself? How can I serve them? How can I serve myself today? And my to-do list is kind of like, let's look at the week ahead. Let's book a few things ahead. Like, we had this call booked for like a couple of weeks in advance. But apart from that, I'm kind of just trying to stay really present. But I also really feel like I've been noticing lately that like a lot of people have like stopped manifesting and have stopped kind of like looking to the future and thinking about making plans and things like that. So I'm trying to get to this place where I'm present and I'm taking one day at a time, but I'm still also looking forward to the future and kind of thinking, okay, you know, at some point I want to be on the beach and like having this experience and doing this thing, maybe writing some more books and all of that stuff. But I think that for those of us who have found it really difficult to be present, I think that's one of the things that is really being highlighted right now, because I've never been that great at being present. Like, I've had to do so much meditation and calling back my energy. I've very often felt like when I've tuned into my chakra column, you know, it's like way over here somewhere. It's like, okay, like come back, like where are you? So I've had to do a lot of work on that, and I'm really feeling like, you know, for people who are maybe not very good at being present, I feel like this is a really big challenge. So yeah, I've just been feeling really guided to just kind of every morning just send to myself and just say, okay, what do I need to do today? Like, what can I do today to get through this? Because this is, and I was actually talking to a friend about this just a couple of days ago. Nobody has experienced this before. Like, this is the first time that we've ever experienced something like this. Like, we can't ask our grandparents, you know, like, oh, how did you deal with it when this happened? Because nobody's had this experience. So we're all kind of trying to just navigate it as we go and share our advice with each other. But I think that's been really valuable for me as well, to just kind of reach out to friends and say, this is what I'm struggling with. What are you struggling with? And to just kind of support each other in the best way that we can.
Absolutely. I love it. You just inspired me a lot right there, Vix. And I'll share with the audience, anybody that struggles with presence, because this at one time, I would admit this a decade ago, my greatest weakness by far. So much so to where when in a time of my life where I was probably feeling at my lowest, I was in LA living with 5 roommates, and that was actually the best part of my life, was having those people around. But we moved into a new house in Los Angeles, and the only thing left were 4 spiritual books, and one of which was the Power of Now. They were in the corner of the garage, and I respected all the books because I had heard of a few of them. And Power of Now, Eckhart Tolle, and at that time it was all about I'll be happy when, like, I'm not happy with how the situation, how life is flowing right now, and you know, now a decade later, I consider that to be my greatest strength, and really for 2 reasons. Just knowing that tomorrow isn't promised to any of us. I realized I was really taking that for granted. And so if I'm ever allowing myself, if I'm ever enjoying any area of life, whatever it is, like knowing that tomorrow's not promised, I really want to see how much I can enjoy whatever it is that I'm doing. And once I realize that by doing that, that allows momentum to increase and our energy, our frequency to raise. And we can experience some frequencies that we might not even know exist out there right now. Like, none of us have felt as good as we can possibly feel in this human body, because it's infinite. So even if you've had what you would describe as a blissful life experience, and maybe probably many, none of us have felt like what it fully can feel like to be human in these bodies with this energy flowing through us. So that gives me a lot of excitement to just want to be even more present, because that's the only way the momentum can take us there. If we're enjoying something and then we're like, oh, I should be doing this, or oh, is this going well? Momentum stopped, and now you're more worried, or thinking you're just in a different place then. And then also, if I find myself, because I'm human, and so we can still find ourselves wondering or maybe worrying a little bit about the future, being anxious and all of those things. just knowing like, well, would I really be worrying about that future date if I really knew and just reminded myself that that's not even promised? Like, yeah, we'll probably all get there. We'll probably all live to be 150 years old. Everybody listening to this right now. But what if we don't? We're alive right now. So that's just, once I stopped taking the moment for granted and just being hyper focused on that, life changes so much. And then for all of us, I mean, it's a practice. Anything that we want to evolve in any area of life, like if we're aware of it, then we have choice. Which only reason I do anything that I do Vix as far as to help people is I love people to have the awareness of that now they have the power back to have the choice to do whatever they're inspired to do. And then from there, it really is a practice, because even though I would consider that to be my greatest strength 10 years later, it didn't go from like discovering the book, reading a few pages, and like, oh, it's all like rainbows and like unicorns now. Like it's perfect. Like no chance. And even now still, it's just like, I'm aware of it. So I just like, it doesn't take a hold of me to where I have to be like anxious for like a full day. Maybe just like a few moments of the day and I'm like, Noel, like, so I can, shed a little light on that.
Yeah. And like, I resonate with that so much. And I think that this experience that we're all living through right now has really highlighted like just how fragile life is and just how much it isn't guaranteed. Like anything can happen at any time, and things that we've never even thought about. Like, of all of the things that we've all been worrying about for the last few years, how many of us have been lying awake thinking like, what if there is this virus and we all have to stay home and we can't go to the supermarket? Like, most people probably, well, some people probably have, but most people probably haven't even been thinking about that. But like that is one thing that that I've been thinking about a lot as well. It's just like, we don't know. Like, we don't know how this is going to play out. We don't know how long we've got, any of us. And obviously keeping some hope for the future and doing that manifesting, being like, these are the things that I want, like, when we come out of this, but doing it from that perspective of like, but you know what, I'm really just grateful that I have today.
Absolutely. I'm so happy that you mentioned, as far as manifestation goes right there, because a lot of times as human beings, we like to try to figure out, like, and you mentioned this a second ago also, like, why is this happening? Why did this happen? All these things, which could be infinite reasons. Like, there's just nothing that any of us have the power to, like, figure out every exact reason why. I mean, everything is possibility. So your reason why, possible. Their reason why, possible. What I know is I've never met any human that has the power to de-manifest something that's already manifested. Like, I've never seen it. If you're out there, like, make yourself known. I'll bring you on the podcast for sure. Like, if you're sitting on a chair right now, which both Vix and I are, it's manifested. So all that we have the option to do, like in these human bodies, is see the chair and say, this is what I would like to see for my version of chair, because of my experiences with chair that maybe I don't like, some that I do. And then if we choose, we can manifest something that right now doesn't exist and call it whatever we want to call it, super version of chair. And that goes with everything that any of us want to see in our lives and, see for humanity. And the good news for all of us is this virus and everything that's gone on in our lives up until this present moment is what's caused us to, have the clarity as far as what we like and don't like, want and don't want. And for those of us that choose to keep our attention and our energy focused on, this is what I would like to see in my health and my relationships and my, finances or whatever it is, wherever we place our attention is where our energy goes. And all that physical manifestation is putting energy in a direction long enough to actually start to see the synchronicities, the ideas, the action, the things that you're creating to come into physical manifestation. It's just energy. So I love that. I love when I get to talk about that, because a lot of times we want to figure out why. For me, it doesn't matter. Like, you'll never hear me say, this is why you got sick. Now, when you have indicators of illness and disease, like symptoms, those are great indicators to say, well, how's my vibe been, leading up to this indicator? And if we can be, real with ourselves, we probably will admit we've been a little bit fearful or worried or, running ourselves down with stress or whatever it might be. And now we get to say, well, how would I like to be? Well, I'd like to be well. Well, what's the frequency of wellness that I need to embody here and now so that I can be well? And I like to just keep things super simple.
Yeah, I love that so much. And I think, for me, anyway, and I know everybody has a different way to get through this. Everybody's dealing with it in a different way. But for me, I really, when I started to kind of go down that rabbit hole of why is this happening? And what is the higher purpose for this? Like, all the guidance I was getting at that point was just like, it doesn't matter. Like, you just need to like stay in your own lane, keep doing your work, keep supporting your community, keep creating, keep doing what you're here to do. Like, just stay focused on what on your own lane. So yeah, that was really huge for me, but also really helpful in terms of navigating through this and staying in my power and making sure that I'm not kind of like, going into those places that can, get us off track.
Absolutely. And you've done an awesome job of you have a significant community going on Instagram. You have multiple. I discovered another page that you have I think a couple of days ago. I'm like, wait, what's this one? So you have multiple things going on.
Yeah, I have two websites and 2 Instagram accounts.
Just wanting to give yourself more. Your team more. Here, team. I got another 2 things for you today. Go take it out. I love it. No, you're doing a great job with social media and just the stuff that you're sharing. I saw just one of them, the New Age hipster one, and then I just realized that you have another one is that more tied to like your authorship or all that stuff?
So when I went through this process of, I'd actually been writing my first novel for like 10 years before I published it. It was one of those projects, I think a lot of people have these projects where like, I want to write a novel. And so I was kind of like working on it on and off for a really, really, really long time. And in between that time, I started New Age hipster. So actually the fiction stuff is way older than the spiritual stuff. But I kind of got to the point with the book where I actually had a reading with somebody who the reading was really full on. She basically said, you either need to publish it or you just need to like let it go. I was like, I'm not letting this go. I've been working on it for 10 years. So I decided, okay, now's the time. I'm going to finish my novel. I'm going to put it out there. And I first started to share it with my New Age hipster community, but it's kind of there is definitely a crossover of people who love the spiritual stuff and the young adult stuff, but there's also a lot of people that are just not young adult fiction fans who hang out on my other account. So it's like, I'm not gonna make it a secret that they're both me, but I'm gonna have like these 2 different places so that if people are just into this, they can come hang out here, and if they're just into the other thing, they can find me at that other place. So yeah, I'm not sure if I'm going to keep it like that long term, but it kind of felt like what I needed to do at that time.
That makes total sense now. I didn't know what the YA stood for until just now. I was like, what does that mean? You just answered that.
Yeah.
I had I got it.
Yeah, it's been really interesting kind of trying to navigate who am I? Like, I run this spiritual business, but I also write these books. But the books are actually really kind of spiritual as well. Like, the whole theme of the first book is around destiny and fate, and like, can you change it? Is it set in stone? Like, is everything predetermined? And there's also like witches and magic and stuff in it. So it's still me. It's still kind of spiritual. I'm sure I was downloading a lot of like light codes when I wrote it, but it's kind of like a branch off the tree of the New Age hipster stuff. So yeah, at the moment it's got like two different homes.
I love it. And of course it's that way. And this is why I love discovering awesome humans that are out there, all of you guys, because once we know each other exists and you can feel their energy and like what they're flowing into the world, you just know that everything that they choose to create while they're here will just be an evolved, or even a more evolved version of that, because they're going to continue to evolve, but the same energy that they're flowing through what you're experiencing now is going to be just as awesome in whatever else that you choose to create. So I'm happy to know that you exist now. And
likewise.
The question that I always love to ask people, and knowing that the internet is going to live for quite some time and probably outlive all of us here as physical humans. Hello for those of you guys that are watching this, and however you're watching this, 150 years from now. Don't know if I'm still here physically, but you can still tap in and connect with me if you choose. I'll say hello. But anything that you would just love to share with humanity, whenever they hear this, you've been sharing cool stuff the whole time. But anything that wants to flow through you that you feel will make a positive impact anytime someone hears this episode.
Wow, that's like such a big question. question.
It could be anything.
Like,
Look both ways before you cross the street. If that's what comes.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I probably just want to say the same thing that I'm saying now. Really, like my main message is really about like trusting yourself. You know, like trusting your own heart and trusting your own soul and your own intuition. I feel like we are at a really interesting time in history right now where we're kind of coming out of that old paradigm of like the guruship and the spiritual teachers, and you know, you had your priest or your guru or whatever who would be the person who had all the answers. And I really feel like we're shifting out of that. People are starting to realize now that actually the only reason you need your teachers and your healers, your readers, your coaches, these people are really just here to help you to unlock whatever's already inside of yourself, to help you to find your own way. And for me, it's really exciting to be here at this point in time, because it's like, you know, I don't have to be like the spiritual teacher with all the answers, thank goodness, because right. I'm not that at all. But I do feel like my job is to just help people see that light in themselves. And I think that, you know, hopefully in 150 years, people, like more and more people will be realizing that. But I think we're going to be on this journey for a little while where we start to really reclaim our own power and our own, you know, our own wisdom, and reconnect to our souls in a much like deeper way. And I hope all the people watching this in 150 years will be like, yeah, duh, like we already worked that out.
Of course they will.
And like, yay, go you.
Of course they will. And what are they? And what are they sitting staring into? Why do they need extra devices? Like,
yeah, I know. Like,
just channeling this amongst each other and just, you know, watching it in a real cloud.
Yeah.
I love that. What you just highlighted, Vix, is really my favorite thing I say my favorite thing so many times. I've been noticing myself. I have so many favorite parts of life, so this is one of my favorites as well. Just knowing that if we're open for, you know, if we're open to allowing our soul to evolve, like consciously, and to attract awarenesses that, you know, uplift us and that we're ready for. And none of us will ever know all the secrets of the universe. Don't need to. Won't happen in this lifetime. For those of you out there that think that you know like everything, you don't. There'll be other things that you'll discover, I'm certain, on this journey. And just knowing that, it allows me to be so humble about where the information comes from, and knowing that any one of the 7.7 billion plus humans on Earth, if I'm open to the universe dropping a download into their mind, coming out of their mouth into my ears, that could be the awareness that I've been asking for, of course. How can I allow this area of my life to evolve? And same goes for all of us. So if we just choose to not limit where the synchronicities can come from, because it can come from anywhere. Like, it doesn't have to even be a physical person. It could be driving and see a billboard that's like, oh, like the way that sentence is worded, like it resonates. And so I love knowing that, and that's why I collaborate so much, is because it's just fun to hear different life perspectives, knowing we're all just a different expression of the same non-physical energy. And so nobody's any better or worse than anyone else. Like, there's no like special breed of human where only they have access to feeling joy and happiness and love, and also sadness and depressed. Like, we're all able to experience this entire spectrum in the human experience, and it just makes it so much fun to co-create and collaborate with all of you guys. And today it's you, Vix, and I really appreciate you, because this has been super fun conversation. Anything you want to share with the audience that you want them to know that you have going on, or to connect with you, or any of that stuff? Obviously your links and all that stuff will be easily accessible, but anything you want to share with the humans out there that are tuning in?
Yeah, I guess if you want to hang out, the best place to do that is over on my website, newagehipster.co. You can find me really easily by just Googling New Age Hipster. You can also find some other weird things if you type New Age Hipster in, but I will be on that first page. And the best ways to work with me, if you want to connect in that way, I have The Circle, which is a monthly subscription. Every month we work through a different spiritual topic. Again, that is not about me me telling you this is how you're supposed to do it. It's about me introducing the topics to you, sharing my experiences, and then giving you a bunch of materials that will help you to find your own way to navigate through that. I also have the Fully Lit Mastermind for anyone that wants to run their own spiritual business or expand their business or whatever you want to do with your business. And yeah, you can check out my books. You can find information about my books on the New Age Hipster website, but I also have a website which is magicpizza.press. Magic Pizza is the name of my indie imprint that I publish my young adult fiction books under, so you can find all info about that over there as well.
Magic Pizza. It's how I feel every time every time I eat this magical food. It's my favorite on earth.
Yeah, when I came up with it, I was like, I really wanted to create like a name that I could use for my young adult fiction, but also if I want to self-publish some spiritual stuff. So it's like Magic Pizza. That works.
I love it. I love it. Well, you're such a beautiful example, Vix, of just being able to be a guide for human beings. And this is what I said. You mentioned this a little bit ago. Like, we all have the answers, inside of us for sure, and could no doubt like just have lived the life experience and have the clarity and say, "Ooh, I didn't really like that. I want." And so this is how all of our journeys work. However, I do know the value of, like, if you want to go climb a mountain, like everybody out there, you could go figure out how to climb it, and maybe you might make some wrong turns and maybe you might fall or scrape your knee, or hopefully you don't fall off the mountain, because I don't think you might get a second chance at the attempt. But my point is, sometimes it's just easier to go up with a guide that has already been up the mountain and can say, "Come this way." Like, don't go that way. I've been that way. Well, you can, but you might fall off the side. So I see so much value in what you're doing, Vix, and what everybody out there that is wanting to help people. And I always say, like, a great next step on our journey is to just follow those intuitive nudges where it's like, even if it's just a curiosity, to go explore it. And maybe it just starts with, like, connecting with Vix on her website or anything else. And I highly recommend everybody out there doing that, just following those nudges, because they lead to awesome life experiences that give you clarity. And a lot of times it's the clarity that sparks the excitement to take us to wherever we want to go on our journey. And all of a sudden we're like, I'm passionate about this, and it just started with a little bit of a curiosity towards something, and we followed it. So appreciate you, Vix, for sparking all this beautiful energy this morning for me and evening for you. You're an awesome human. I'm happy to know that you exist out there in the UK.
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me on. It's been an honor to be able to have this conversation.
Yeah, one I would have wanted to have with you anyway. And I'm now a recording snob, so I must have everything recorded and shared, even streamed. It's like now it's not even good enough to just record it. It's like I want to stream it for all you guys live at the same time. So as they give us more toys to play with, who knows? Maybe we'll be beaming in virtual reality. You guys will be dancing with us, hanging out with us, like in virtual reality one day soon.
Sounds cool. Very cool.
Awesome. Well, you guys out there, definitely share this episode. It'll be super impactful for anyone you're inspired to share it with. And thank you guys that have been rating and reviewing the podcast. You're making it easier for people to find. And there's no one review limit on iTunes. They've told me, so you can go on there and say, "That Vix human was awesome, and this is what I've learned." And I'll make sure I screenshot it and send it to her. And just appreciate you all out there. Excited for everything that's evolving for all of us. We're all in this together here in 2020 and beyond. And just appreciate you all, and sending you all love and light till we connect again. I'll be doing another one of these live for you live people in like an hour and a half or so. So I appreciate you all. Have a beautiful day whenever you hear this. Vix, you're awesome. Thank you so much for tuning in with us. And you have a beautiful day out there, evening out there in UK as well. I'm going to stop the stream and I'm going to say bye to you, Vix. So one sec. You guys have an amazing day. I'll talk to you guys soon, streaming people. Awesome.